I've sailed, man and boy, all over the world. I've been a tugboat captain in and around these waters alone for 25 years, but I've never seen the ship or the system to compare with this one. First of all, the ship is an all-aluminum, double-ended catamaran. So right there, you're dealing with something altogether unique in this world. She's all aluminum to make her super economical to operate and maintain. Double-ended, so she doesn't have to waste time turning around each time she docks. And catamaran, so she doesn't list every time a full load of passengers all head for the exits at the same time. The catamaran hull is a particularly stable design. It's quite good in rough weather. And it's an extraordinarily maneuverable configuration, which is something you've got to have in any busy harbor. And then she's got a pretty special drive system, too. Instead of the usual 1 or 2 rear-mounted screws, she's got 4 engines with right-angle drives that go through the bottom of the hull and rotate a full 360 degrees. So she'll go sideways, crab-like, turn on her own axis, and stop in nearly her own length, which adds to her maneuverability and makes docking her a piece of cake. Even the controls are different. Joysticks, see? Rotate them for direction. Press down for speed. There's only 2 because the front and rear drives operate as pairs. We can operate with less than all 4 engines if we have to. In fact, 1 would be sufficient in an emergency, although I don't think I'd enjoy the trip all that much. But the whole ship has that kind of backup system in case of failure. That goes for the radar, communications, everything, including me. The mate backs me up. Now, sitting right here, I can monitor the whole ship, detect and fight a fire, detect a bilge leak and electrical fault. I have direct communications with the attendants, the terminals, the harbor master, the Coast Guard, and the RCMP. And citizens band for good measure. Safety is the name of the game here. There was some talk in the early stages about a totally automated system, but so far automation hasn't proven itself. So we have a crew of 4 on board. And the mate and I spell each other every half hour or so, and the senior terminal attendant is mate qualified, so he takes over for each of us during meal times. And the other terminal attendants relieve the other ship attendants the same way. Everybody's cross-trained. That's one of the secrets of the success of this operation. Backup systems and cross-trained personnel. Let me tell you about the training we got before we even set foot on these vessels. They had a simulator built which duplicated the control systems we're using now. Built it to 1/8 scale and then mocked up a little terminal to go with it. Then we all took turns bashing and crashing the simulator into the little terminal until we began to get the feel of the controls. It took most people about 8 to 12 hours to get it down pat, but I'll tell you, it sure saved a lot of wear and tear on the vessels. Not to mention the egos of the guys who thought they could handle anything that floats. And then, when we weren't out in the simulator, we were having skull sessions with the designers, learning about all the special features they were building into the vessels and the terminals. So now, instead of panicking and shutting the system down if something goes wrong, we know what to do to keep the service in operation until we can get it fixed. But to tell you the truth, I don't think there's another transportation system in the world that's as reliable as this one. 99.98% of the time, it's ready to go as scheduled. In 50,000 crossings, we've been late 9 times, never more than 5 minutes. And that's for mechanical reasons now. We turned back once because someone on board had a heart attack. And we've had other service interruptions that were beyond our control, but No mechanical failures. In fact, during one snowstorm we had here, we were virtually the only transit service still operating. Carried 12,000 people who would otherwise have been stranded overnight. And made a lot of friends that day. We keep that reliability up there by operating a pretty tight program of responsive and preventive maintenance. Because we only have 2 ships, the maintenance is pulled mostly at night or on Sundays when one of them is out of service. When a ship is ready for its maintenance period, we pull it into a completely self-contained berth next to the terminal. We have our own tank farm there with hose connections for fuel, hydraulic oil, holding tank disposal, the works. Onshore power hookup, lights, even little platforms so the cleaning contractor can hose the whole thing off every night. Frankly, though, we'd all feel a lot better if we had one more ship. It's actually more economical to maintain the system with 3 because you can get the work done on straight time instead of overtime shifts. And it's the ultimate backup system. Now, over there in the front of the terminal, that's where the controller sits. He's got a monitor to listen to harbor communications with and a radio to talk to me on. Plus, he's got closed-circuit TV telling him what's going on inside his terminal. He's got 2 terminal attendants with him over there, plus a senior attendant. One of the attendants keeps track of the turnstile area, and the other does painting and chipping and goes out in the workboat as the need arises. We keep a fast workboat around to help us clear debris out of the slips and do other waterborne chores. The attendants will also check the flotation cells for leaks. Each terminal floats, you see, on 88 cells, and we have to sound them to make sure they're not leaking. Oh, let me tell you, those terminals are a marvel in themselves. The North Shore terminal is 10,000 tons, 20,000 square feet of covered area. No dry dock in the world big enough to hold it. Both are permanent where they sit. Everything serviceable is out of the water, which they tell me was a major design problem in itself. The dolphins that hold them in place are 5,000-ton concrete blocks. And the whole system accommodates tide amplitudes of 19 feet. And earthquakes, too, if it came to that. Now, when you get off, take a look at the fendering system. You know, we've got all of 3 inches clearance between the ferry and the pen. And the way we slip in is we lean into the long finger in the center and then slide along it into place. So 12 hours a day, every 10 minutes, 187 tons of vessel bumps into that terminal. And what absorbs the shock is this 2-part fendering system. A light-duty component for ordinary days and a heavy-duty component for rough weather bumps. And the combination keeps the rebound down and the passengers from being bounced around. But the fenders take a lot of punishment, so the terminal attendants have to keep after them. And that's another job they do from the workboat. Now, when we dock, that's when those shipboard attendants I mentioned before get busy. Now, we pull in, and when I'm satisfied the ship is locked in place, the guys will reach for their swing-out consoles, drop the ramps, and open the vessel doors and the terminal doors. Nobody throws any ropes on this ferry service. Then 400 passengers scurry out one side, 400 scurry in the other, and we're away. The whole operation's over in 37 seconds, and we spend a total of about a minute and a half in the dock. Interesting, you know. They tried this system out in a school gymnasium with a bunch of kids, and the kids did it in 37 seconds, too. Now, during off-peak hours, we do the unloading and loading sequentially. There's not so much of a rush, and it gives the attendants time to do a little once around between sailings to pick up litter and umbrellas and kids' boots and God knows what else. You wouldn't believe how absent-minded people can be. Maybe the most important thing to know about the SeaBus is that it's not just a ferry. It's an integrated part of an overall transit system. What the SeaBus system does is it reduces bus traffic and bus congestion on the bridges and uses those buses more efficiently on the North Shore. We also expect to keep more cars from using the bridges by giving new North Shore residents a beautiful alternative to driving. When the ferry system was inaugurated back in June of '77, 11 major bus routes were drastically changed to accommodate ferry schedules. Now, no bus commuter has more than a couple of minutes wait between the time he arrives at the terminal and the next SeaBus sailing. We make the 1 3/4 mile crossing in about 8 minutes, and there are buses waiting for each load of passengers as they arrive. Well, as the boys in the administration building would say, the bottom line of all this is system use, right? If the people don't use it, we've wasted $35 million of their money building it and $2.5 million more every year operating it. But people are using it. And not only as commuters either. We had to put in special terminal doors to accommodate tourists who just wanted to make the round-trip cruise. And shoppers love it, you know. We're full on shopping evenings. North Shore diners and restaurant owners, they both love it. But still, the commuter is our target here, and we get about 1,600 of them an hour during peak periods. That's about the equivalent of 1 lane of traffic on the local bridge. The big difference, of course, is that we're not bringing any more traffic into the city at all, just people. And unlike the bridge, we can add more lanes just by adding more ferries. See, this system will accommodate 8 to 10 ferries. We could handle 24,000 people an hour if it came to that. Overall, in the first year of operation, we carried nearly 3.5 million people on SeaBus. And do they like it? Everybody seems to. Why don't you ask them?
Sure, it's great. Fast way to get over to Vancouver. You couldn't wish for a better means of transportation.
Marvelous.
I use it all the time.
I really like it.
I don't feel like I'm frazzled by the time I get to the office. It's just great.
Oh, I think it's just great. Yeah, I think it's good. It's really good.
I love it. It's very nice.
I think it's great.
It's fine.
Well, yeah, I think it's great.
Very relaxing. It's a change from the trolleys.
I love it. Take it to work every day.
It's very nice.
No better way to travel, especially to work.